All right, today we want to really get into some of the Q&A that we've been getting bulleted with some serious issues that we have in the sport of boxing. And today is the trainer edition. So what we're going to do is really get into a lot of the serious questions that trainers are having. These coaches are working with athletes. They've been in situations. Most of these people have more than 15 fights. So, we see this as a very serious thing. And so, fortunately, just over the past 3 days, we've just had a ton of just different scenarios. And I guess just because why is it so important that these coaches are reaching out is because they see me live, and the fact that I'm there and they know that I can be touched is a big thing. So this is kind of why I leave it up to you coaches to be more vocal, because these situations are real. So today we're going to do this fan Q&A, and this is specifically for the coaches. And get your notepads out because there are just some interesting conversations. So Stacy's going to read out some of these questions. Now, the individuals who have asked this, we will keep them anonymous because this is their own private business and they're confiding in me, and I take that pretty serious. I don't want to expose people who don't want to their personal business out here. But when it's all said and done, when you become an influencer, that's the reason, and that's the way your life catapults, is because you allow yourself to get some exposure. And you take the bitter with the sweet, but the checks all increase when you play the game that way. So let's start off with the first question, Stace. Drop it up there, and for those of you at the top, you can read. And I'm going to answer each one in as grave detail as I can. I don't really know them all because we've just had an immense dumping of just questions and concerns. And I think with this Super Bowl conversation that we had, and we were talking boxing in depth and business in depth, it really piqued a lot of people's curiosity. So we'll go directly into it. What's the first question?
Sure. We've been winning, so why is my fighter getting passed over for big fights?
Okay, good deal. Well, you can remove that from the top. Now, here's the deal. When you're winning and your fighter is being looked over, here are a couple of things that the promoters are looking at. Okay. You're winning, but is your FSS going up or staying the same? And what is your FSS? Your fight stock score. So that has everything to do with who and how many people have an affinity for you and your style of boxing. And they that is how you get measured when you are going to get paid. How they negotiate that is basically on that FSS score. That fight stock score means everything. That means you have a great affinity. Audience has an affinity for you. That the promoters know that you put butts in seats, and that they're going to get their money back and profit. When you get profit, that means you're definitely going to get more opportunity. You're going to have the best chances to get on these major cards, and you're going to get the most money. If you look at people like Ryan Garcia, as I said over the weekend, Ryan Garcia, he's making the kind of money that the other guys are making. He wasn't a titleist. The thing about it is his FSS is good. He performs on social media, in the ring. He has the look, he has the cachet. He shows up all over the internet. He's everywhere. He's committed to his job. And so your athlete, there's a very good likely that the promoters know that he doesn't bring people to the arena. He does not have a connection with his audience, and they pay closer attention to your social media than you could ever imagine. They know what you're doing. It's not about the gym anymore. It's about your FSS score. And if it's not where they want it, they're not going to put you on main event cards. You're not going to get the purse that you deserve or you feel like you deserve, because there are guys out there that are working harder all around. You're just concentrating in the gym and then on fight night. That's not a business, but boxing is a business. And hence is why Master Boxing is out here front and center, giving you guys the pearls on how to do this. So that's more than likely what your issue is. Unless you're knocking people out like Mike Tyson every round, every time you fight, it's a first round knockout. It just doesn't bring an affinity, and therefore your FSS is going to stay low, and so will your purse. Next question. Hopefully that answered your question, guys. And if any of you guys out here have questions, we'll put it in the docket and we'll do it the next Q&A that we have. All right, go ahead.
My fighter just took a loss. How do I prevent them from being overlooked now that he has that loss?
Okay. So this question was, my fighter just had a loss, and how do I prevent them from being overlooked? Okay. So once again, when you go through a loss, which you will, every time somebody fights, there's a 50-50 chance that you're going to have a loser. A loser is going to win. I mean, there's going to be a loser 50% every single time. It's going to be a loser or it's going to be a draw. Either way, if you have a fighter that lost, here's how you prevent it. First, you make the plan to prevent. The plan is going to be set that we're not going to walk in this game thinking that judges won't slight us. So therefore, there has to be a clear understanding with your fighter, and your fighter and yourself and the team have to come to an agreement on what you will need to do if this happens. And so here's one of the things that can prevent the team from crashing is when you put a security up under that fighter's base. And what I mean by that is a cushion is something that you're prepared for. Most fighters, their career takes a heavy dip, and their score takes a dip because they lose, because they're not prepared for worst case scenario. In business, you have to prepare for worst case scenario. In real life, you have to prepare for worst case scenario. That's why you have health insurance, car insurance. You have to prepare for the worst all the time. So how do you do that? This is one of the things that I tell athletes. Look at the Ryan Garcias, look at Jake Paul. Why does their money not dip when they lose? Ryan Garcia is about to be in another big fight. Jake Paul was in his biggest fight after a loss with a first round knockout. Why did his money not drop? Because he's taking control. It's called personal brand. Personal brand is not exactly like a regular, fighter or someone who's in business. People who have their own business, they get money from the business. And if you're a fighter and you're a part of PBC, or you're a part of Top Rank Boxing, or you're a part of Golden Boy, if that's the only focus that you have, then if you lose, you're subject to the powers that be. But if you build a personal brand, that means you build an affinity for the audience that you have. They have a connection to you. They support you more. Look at when Manny Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez. Look at how the people came to his defense. Look at when he lost to Floyd. His fan base swelled. And so this is what you do to protect your fighter. You have to coach them up on how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you come to people's pages like mine who know how to do and build personal brands. Because see, businesses only pay you when you work in them. Personal brand pays you across the board. You're getting paid when you're asleep. And you can do deals with anybody, and everybody wants to do deals with people who have personal brands. Snoop Dogg Kevin Hart, Dwayne Johnson. These are the names that everybody wants to do deals with. Kanye West took Adidas $2 billion, that was $2 billion nearly in debt. And before he even sold a shoe, was $3 billion out of the hole before he sold a shoe. That's personal brand. Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian. All of these people are personal brands, and anybody can be one today. So make sure if you're fighters out here, you have to learn the craft. There's a method to it. You just don't turn the camera on and do the best you can do. You learn how to do it the right way. So that's what you do. So if your fighter loses, you don't lose. Because if your fighter loses and you're the coach and you don't understand this stuff, you're fired, whether you know it or not. And it might be 1 or 2 fights later, but you're gone. He just hadn't replaced you yet. Ask Anthony Joshua. All right, next question.
We're 18-0 and struggling to attract big name opponents. What do we need to do?
18-0. If you can't get big name opponents, this is a part of the game of boxing. All right. So the first thing that has to happen is you have to pair up in a way, because boxing is a business, and the promoters, the managers, we just had a manager on the show the other day. You know, Otis manages fighters. And as a matter of fact, he had a fighter that wanted to come in and be entitled. And when you have a fighter like that, then you have to make it very clear. Opportunities in boxing, you have to appreciate the moments that you're in. So if you have the opportunity to keep fighting, just keep fighting and doing what promoters expect for you to do. Sell tickets, have more people love you, do your damnedest to get 1 million people because they'll follow you. It's important, because he who has the numbers today gets the fights. It doesn't matter. The politics of boxing totally kick in your favor. Are you too tired after you do your 3 miles or after you do your mid training? Coaches, are you too old school to help him understand how important that round is after he does his workout? We call that program mediums. It's the stuff that makes your performance better. So program mediums are things that don't make you hit, technically better. They turn the sting up on everything you do. So it's the extra work that you do that you don't do it in the gym. Okay. It's the stuff you do at home. It's the repetition of things that might be like, I tell him to shadow box with power hands for 8 to 10 rounds after he works out. Maybe he may do a muscle optimization workout after he does his workout. He might do this running system sprint program, not at the gym, after the gym. It's things that make you better. Having a real affinity tied audience makes you much better at negotiation. So if you have a good record and you want better fights, increase the numbers. Ask Conor McGregor, ask Adesanya. All of these athletes, whether you're in the UFC, whether if you're in One Champion, whether if you're in the PBC, everybody who's getting fights, like Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, he shouldn't even have a job, but he got a big following. I don't care if you like it. The fact of the matter is, you're the one who's watching. That's why they get big money and more opportunity. So, and that's why so should your fighter. So make sure you got the right people in place. Make sure you're doing the things that matter to people. You like to look at your damn phone. All right. And so make sure that when people are looking at their phone, they're looking at your fighter. And then when you start having that be the case, that's when you'll stop being iced out. Because until then, you're going to be isolated out until it's just no more ducking you. All right. So you can take the Marvin Hagler route where he didn't get a title shot to after 50 fights, or you can get smart and take the Ryan Garcia route. It's on you. Next question.
How can I get a bigger purse?
Okay. Here we go with the big purse. So if you're a fighter right now and your purses are small because that's what your value is. Nobody cares that you're running every day. Nobody cares that you're sparring against Mike Tyson in the gym. Nobody cares that you've got a set of broken ribs. No one cares that you got up from a knockdown in sparring and triumphed in the ring. No one cares that when you go to these smokers all over the nation to box against tougher fighters and you show up. Nobody cares. But what they do care about is how well you've created that attraction. Go back in time. Look at Sugar Ray Robinson, people who had charisma. Go look at Max Baer, the first man to kill a man in the ring with a right hand. Go look at these guys. Go look at these Jack Dempsey guys. Go look at Henry Armstrong. Look at those guys and then look at you. What's the difference? I'll use one word: charisma. Fans love that. They love idols. Become more of an idol and you'll solve your own problem. So get out of your own way and get people that are around you will help manage that. Our guy, Otis Griffin, pull him up. He's a manager, fight manager. Even if you need him on to advise you, do it. Yeah, I'm co-signing on him because I know he understands. He sits in the foxhole and learns how promoters want their fighters to come across. He was a professional fighter, the first reality show winner in boxing, and NFL football player and world champion, and now manager. So he understands fighters. So look him up, and I'm telling you, you are not going to get what you are searching for if you don't commit to doing the things that promoters require. Eddie Hearn's on the record when Prograis fought Devin Haney and saying the reason why this is a real fight is because both of those guys promoted it. He really doesn't give a shit about you. Nobody does. So you have to make them, or you'll be overlooked, because today you have all the opportunity in the world. But if you choose not to, you can't complain because nobody gives a damn. So it's your pocket. Great question. How do you say that again? How do you go about what?
How do I go about building a strong fan base and brand for my fighters?
Oh, yeah. Well, building a fan base, and when you're trying to, that's what it's about. You gotta really want to do it. And the number one thing is, like, we did a page today, or it was kind of like a PDF of just the line items of things. First, be present. Give people a little bit more of the who you are. Speak about, what type of, hurdles that you've had to overcome to get to the place that you got to. It's all about sharing different types of stories behind the scenes that you're in your journey. What is going on with negotiations? What are they saying? Be vocal a little bit. People want to know a little bit more about you. That's how they, get connected to you. You look at Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, he grew bigger because Don King knew that if we showed the behind the scenes of this guy, the world is going to just have an affinity for them. They're going to love them or hate them, but they're going to know them. And so when you're doing that, so is other brands, Adidas, Under Armour, Nike, all of these companies are watching as well. Reebok. Then there are so many different types of brands now. Sports and athletics, Power Hands, My Partners. People like these individuals are all looking to partner. There are these athletic companies like Athletica and Stretch Lab. Yeah, I'm giving them a plug. It ain't no sponsor there, but these kind of companies are looking to partner with you guys. You got to put yourself in a position where they see you or have people like me reference you because they already trust me. I do business with half of them already, from Under Armour to, I mean, all of them. Y'all, if people know my story, I don't have to go into details, but it's all about doing all of those things to show who you are. They want to find the next Cam Newton. In 2015, you couldn't turn the television on without seeing Cam Newton because he had sold a brand of a cheerful guy who likes to, salute the kids and playful and joyful and the big smile, the brash look, the fly gear, just the whole entire savage package Cam Newton was. Then you look at Tom Brady, the model like he always represented his brand, right? And that's kind of what you want to do. You want to replicate people who have created a persona. And that's not very hard. It's actually easy. It's, you just do the simple 4 steps. Make sure you creating your content. Make sure you have a particular type character. Get into character. Joe Rogan and those guys, they're in character. Nobody acts like that when they're at home. You know what I'm saying? You're at home, you're sleepy. You're not all boosted with energy and crunk up all the time. All of these guys, Sean O'Malley, he's in character. Everybody's in character. So who are you as when you're in character? Do that, be visible, connect with these individuals, and make sure that you have an agent, somebody who's dealing with your PR, putting you in front of the right people. All of that's going to matter because there are millions of people who want to fight and who are trying to fight, let alone the ones that are actually doing it. So there's going to be more competition with people doing more. That's the reason why you are subscribed and following many people, because they do awesome content. When you're building content, you're thinking about the bigger picture, the bigger endorsements. If you're already a real professional athlete, you're already being looked at. It's just how much and how much of an affinity people have for you. All of the top actors right now are doing their personal brand. Everybody, Shannon Sharp, Shay Shay, all of these guys who are television personalities, Stephen A. Smith, you know, Pat McCaffrey. All of these guys are personal branding so that they can have autonomy across the board. So these are the steps that you have to take. We have a book. If you guys want it on how to really build your personal brand, just make sure you reach out to the page and, we'll have somebody, you'll get it emailed to you. No more than 5 people. We're not setting up for that smoke because our page just came off of viral. We're trying to chill this week, but for the most part, learning the process, it'll help you. Then you'll build your personal brand. You'll find a lot of opportunities coming your way, as we discussed it over the weekend with the actor from one of the lead actors from The Family Business on Netflix. Boom, personal branding, personal branding, personal branding. It's all about having control over your life. And personal branding pays a whole lot of money. When you're an influencer at that level, it's a powerful leverage tool. So get into it. Don't play around. And your fighter love you for it. Trust what I'm saying. They'll live that life, and it'll be because you made the right choices. Next question.
All right, last question.
Last one. All right, good deal.
What can I do if my buyer isn't paying me what was agreed upon?
Ooh. What can he do? This is a coach, and his fighter isn't paying him. See, we brought this up. You see what I'm saying? We brought this up just 2 weeks ago. Coaches aren't getting paid. There are a lot of fighters who are working with these, who have these coaches, and they've been working with them. And so this is where you learn how to create the contract, and you have to make sure you got sponsor. That means representation. Therefore, the fighter is responsible for giving the money to your representative so that you never have to bark at your fighter about getting money from them, because they're going to see you as a regular trainer when it's convenient. When they start to get paid, everybody thinks all of these trainers are getting the money too. If a fighter makes $1 million, the trainer is supposed to get, at bottom, he's supposed to get 10%, and that's $100,000. How many of you as trainers are getting $100,000 when your fighter makes $1 million? How many of you, when they get 2 million, are getting 200,000? Now that's only if you're training. When you're training and you're doing managerial things like Coach Hunter, that when you got like Emmanuel Stewart, these guys, they were managing, they were monitoring, they were creating, like they were basically operating as their protectors as well, their agents as well. They were playing multiple roles. Emmanuel Stewart was making 45% of Klitschko's money. 45%, because he was doing more than just training him. He was his brain trust. You know, he did more than pad work and coach him through sparring and put Vaseline on his face. So not only are you supposed to make 10%, but the more you're doing, the more percentage you get broke off. And if you don't want to dampen your relationship between you and your fighter, you get representation, sponsor, someone who's going to be the voice for you so that you and your fighter never have to discuss it. Okay? That person and your money source, that's being handled professionally so that there is no shortcomings, and that won't dampen the relationship. And if you're doing it that way, then everything's going to pan out smooth, and it's going to be fair. But trainers, the fighters, the first thing they think about, they party hard and they do their thing, and then the trainers at the gym waiting. Now the fighter's thinking about the taxes that he has to pay. So take care of his baby mama and drama, his big hangout. He got to show and look the part. So he got to go to, go check out Chop Man over in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Get the whip. Like every time, as soon as you turn around, hey, them Bentleys, they like 400K. You know what I'm saying? $1 million ain't nothing today. You got $1 million in the 70s, you was the king. $1 million a day, you can spend that at Burger King. You know what I'm saying? You can't be somewhere like Vegas, LA, South Florida, Dallas. $1 million is nothing. Manhattan. You in any of these 5 places and $1 million, that's a night out on the town. So yeah, you got to get representation, and you got to make sure everything's inked up and it's overlooked, and that you and the fighter are never having that exchange. So there's never any bitterness, because it's going to go down. If things get sour, it's going to be because of money. And the trainer's not going to really contribute what he really should, because he's going to have that bitterness. And that's how things go sour real fast. But the trainer is typically scared to say something because they don't want to lose that opportunity, because he's always thinking, just like that girl, he's going to take care of me next time. I know he had to take care of a lot of other things this time, but that's not the case. The guy just is bad with money, and that never changes. So that's how you handle it. Hopefully that was something that gave you some value, but think about your career as this, and I'm going to leave it at this. There are a lot more responsibilities in the fight business than people think. There's a lot more responsibilities in regular business that people think. And so that's kind of why you see people topple off. As soon as that ride is over, they get broke because they never decided that it was important enough to learn how to do it when they were actually making the money. Hence is why you see people fighting when they 50 because they just want one more crack at $1 million. And so don't be that guy. Build your brand up, build a team around you, make sure you got proper representation, because 100% of the chance you will never get a shot at anything. All you'll do is fight. I know plenty of guys who've been fighting for 20 years almost and never get an opportunity to do anything on a main card. Main cards are for people who know how to do the thing right, and you can guarantee you're just going to be the name at the bottom of the list all the time. At best, you're going to make 5 figures, which ain't nothing for a 6-week training camp. And then you got a team. You might as well pay somebody serious money to help you get out of that, because that money will never change because you got people who are doing real huh?
Oh, go ahead, finish.
What were you going to say?
We have one more important question.
Okay, but people will never ever, you know, put you ahead of those who are doing real numbers, those who are really hitting the game up from a real perspective and they understand business. It's the equivalent of a child being raised with no father versus the child that was raised by a father. They just have more. They have more opportunity, more understanding, more mentorship, more understanding of life, process, how to treat a lady. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's night and day. So, what's the last question? Hopefully that one.
Yes. Paul wants to know, Paul Araba, is 6 weeks too short to get ready for a pro fight?
Why would 6 weeks be too short?
That's what he's asking.
No, 6 weeks
Is
is
6 weeks
proper
too
to,
short
and
to
it's
get ready for a pro fight?
but the fact of the matter is we were going to take the other questions, on the next one. But here's the deal. If you're fighting somebody and you know what you got and you know what you're dealing with, it's all about stages of your career that you're in. If your fighter hasn't, if your fighter is fighting what we call a test fight, this fight that sets you up to be tested, then the first thing you got to do is make sure you got enough time, because only every once in a while in a blue moon that you'll position yourself to not need a 6-week training camp. That's only if you're fighting simultaneously, like Andy Ruiz was when he got the Anthony Joshua fight. He had just fought like weeks before that, and therefore he was able to just come right off. He was in a rhythm, and most fighters don't get that opportunity these days to get in a rhythm like that. But if your fighter's not fighting consistently, or if your fighter's not really training at the gym in between fights, you need every second you can get. Now, if he hasn't had any real test and he's about to be tested, you need 6 weeks or better. All right. The most important thing is, if you're fighting serious fighting, if you're in serious boxing, I'm talking 12 round stuff, you need 36,000 minutes. All right. You need 36,000 minutes. That is 8 serious, get after it kind of weeks with nonstop 10 hours grinding, like, doing some form of getting your body right. Because when you're a fighter, you're a weapon. And if you are fighting at the levels that I got introduced to, and you just seen me have Andre Durrell up there, he talked about real stuff and a lot of the real side of boxing. When you get up here to that upper echelon, you're not dealing with human beings anymore. That's why you hear when you see these guys talking about, you know, they could do this, they could do that. They have no idea the kind of beings that these fighters turn themselves into, and that transformation in those 8 and 10 week camps, which is what we did all the time. Our camps are real. We transform fighters. We had big fights all the time. You know what I'm saying? It was constant big fights, but I would never, I wrote all of my books on boxing during training camps and big fights with world class, top level Hall of Famers, legends, world champions, Olympic gold medalists, all of those scenarios. Every book that I've written on boxing was in the midst of a training camp. And my hand to God on my mother, this phone right here, if someone can get the LG charger for this phone, this was 2006 phone. It's been in my drawer and in my possession for 20 years. On this phone, y'all see how much content I got out on social media. It's sticky because sticky stuff has gotten all over it. If I could get this phone charged, I'll download all the content in here. These were championship training camps that I recorded on my phone and pictures. I can't even imagine what'll happen if I get to look at this. But this phone has not been charged in 18 years at least. If I can get a charger and it got a little one of those pen like holes, if you can find somebody can get their hands on this, I will plug this thing in the computer and upload everything that I can out of this phone. And I believe me, I've been wanting to. So if you can, you look, it's a flip phone. On this is training camps, real world champ. I'm talking ESPN Zone, Larry Merchant, Jim Lampley. I'm talking real behind the scenes, real stuff. And I would love to share that with my audience. Everything else is on VHS tape. So, but this phone right here holds a lot of the stories that I tell you guys in social media all the time. And anybody, if you can get an LG phone charger from back then, I don't know if there's a number on it that I can say it's Motorola. I'm gonna share this with, I'm gonna get it out. I don't know what condition the data will be. I mean, those phones was a little different back then, but you need the time. But I never got the luxury of working in lower class fights. I was always in top fights because, my coach was world class. So all the world class fighters wanted to be at our training camp, and they were. So with that being said, if the guy's been active, fighting, oh, he don't need 6 full weeks unless he's working on fighting somebody that has an awkward style like a southpaw, cutie style, things like that. It's all about the difficulty of the fighter. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of kind of more of an insight. But if they just fighting a regular dude, it's up for the coach to be the judge because I don't know all the data. All right. That's it. That's it, right? All right, good deal. Well, hopefully you guys got an opportunity to really take some notes and learn a little bit more. That's what this is all about, talking to you guys, giving you front and center, the behind the scenes. This content will be reside in the School of Boxing group, the Top Trainer program, and it'll be in the subscriber portal on Instagram. So until next time, continue blessings, be blessed at Godspeed. If you have further questions, make sure you DM the page. Our admin will get to you at their earliest convenience. Until then, peace out from Coach Bradley and Master Boxing. And we teach boxing. Special shouts out to my brothers in Top Trainer University. Peace.